All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shema, Shabbat, Shalom, Hakodash, the abundance of the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom to all the Akim out pushing the word of sincerity and in truth. Yeah, this brother Barzal, and I just have a lesson going into plagues equals the fall of the kingdom. And you see, I have queued up the plague of Athens, but it was many plagues throughout history that when they ran throughout, the societies that they were destroying. In most cases in the kingdom, that kingdom would either fall at that exact time or would fall years later, due to lack of recovery, lack of being able to restore all that which was lost. We've seen that example many times, in societies, because when a kingdom falls, such as Babylon, the Persians and the Medes, Greece, Rome, Egypt, Assyria, the list goes on and on, even out, outside of those kingdoms. When societies fall, it's all kind of different elements that take place that basically bombard that place till it eventually succumbs. And one of the many is disease outbreak, or it would be lack of agriculture, or which would excite a famine, a nation greater coming and conquering them, them actually not having the resources to secure themselves, create treaties and reliance, and basically become tributaries, and that kingdom that's over them, basically has if you look up the surveillance state, put them under surveillance and basically have them paying taxes, basically a servile kingdom, But those are a few examples to name them, and and right now as we see the COVID-19, due to this coronavirus, it has put a heavy wear and tear within America, American economy, the stock market, the employment factor, employment is at an all-time high. You have millions of people that's out of their job due to this coronavirus, and it's only going to get worse. And people say, this is it, through the spirit, which we say the same thing. We believe through the spirit that this is, the end. We don't see America bouncing back, because it's prophecy, man. It's prophecy that this kingdom is going to fall. And we're almost in the time where they're going to start doing these mass microchips, man. But without further ado, you're going to read a little bit on this plague. It says the plague of Athens was an epidemic that devastated the city-state of Athens and ancient Greece during the second year of the Peloponnesian War, when an Athenian victory still seemed within reach. The plague killed an estimated 75,000 to 100,000 people and is believed to have entered Athens through Piraeus, the city's port and sole source of food supply. Much of the eastern Mediterranean also saw an outbreak of the disease, albeit with less impact. I'm going to continue on. It says the plague had serious effects on Athens society, resulting in lack of adherence to laws and religious beliefs. And we're seeing that going right now. People aren't trusting their mayors. A lot of people are pissed off here in the state of Georgia because you have the governor, Kemp, reopening back the government. Barbershops, nail salons and tattoo parlors, gyms, and a lot of people are in an uproar. They're angry as shit, and they're not believing in this government. Then you have out there in Michigan, they feel like the laws are too draconian, man. So they're protesting, and they're protesting in a couple of places, and a lot of people aren't believing in shit, man. They're looking at the government right now. A lot of people are looking at this as a new world order. They're burning down 5G towers. They're not listening and being compliant with their local officials and things of that nature. It's all kind of riots even out there in Italy. You see thousands of people on the streets, Molotov cocktails or, whatever type of weapons they use for rebelling and protesting. So that's one example amongst many that we're seeing in these societies now. And I'm pretty sure it's even going down in modern day Athens right now. And Greece is catching hell from this coronavirus. Italy is catching hell from this coronavirus. The UK They have the recovery rate on their website, and that thing just says NA. What the hell is that? Not available. They ain't even bringing out the amount of people that's actually recovering in this society. So they're being partially lied to, or fully lied to, I should say. But continuing on, and here in America is going down. It's only going to get worse, man. Because the scripture says that this shall be like a woman in travail. So it says, resulting in the punishment of non-citizens claiming to be Athenian. In addition, Pericles, the leader of Athens, died from the plague. The plague returned twice more in 429 BC and in the winter of 427 to 426 BC. Some 30 pathogens have been suggested as having caused the plague. Right, and they're even speaking around about this coronavirus. Is it going to come back in the fall? Because some people say, so-called doctors, Esau's medical practitioners, they say that the coronavirus will come back in the fall, and it's going to be that much worse. It's going to be, it's going to have might possibly be a different strain, but it's going to hit way harder than it hits now. So, only time will tell through the spirit. But when you, like I said, when you go to the background and you go further into the information on this, basically, it messed up basically the society itself. A lot of people weren't compliant. It of course raged through their economy, and this is one amongst many plagues. Matter of fact, I could read this, the aftermath, because it's about the aftermath. Because when you're in the midst of the plague, you just like when a tornado comes. When a tornado comes, you just duck down and secure yourself. And wait for it to breeze past. You clutch your head down and you brace for impact, close your eyes, and then let it rage through. And after you open your eyes, it might be something that fell on top of the tub or whatnot. You open your eyes and you might lift it up. Then you look around and you see the aftermath of what the tornado have done. And then they judge it in terms of scales. And it's all about that aftermath. What happens in the after effects of a plague, and we're gonna see what happened after this. It says the plague was an unforeseen event, which they're saying the same thing with the coronavirus. They're saying this is a black swan event. This is something that just came out of nowhere and nobody was expecting it. That resulted in one of the largest record loss of life in ancient Greece, as well as a breakdown of Athenian society. The balance of power between citizens had changed due to many of the rich dying and their fortunes being inherited by remaining relatives of the lower class. And that's going on today too, because this coronavirus is attacking elderly. The elderly are mainly dying, and if the elderly have a certain amount of money, who is it going to? The younger. And I actually heard somebody say this exact statement in so many words. So it says, according to Thucydides, those who had become ill and survived were the most sympathetic to others' suffering. Believing that they could no longer succumb to any illness, a number of survivors offered to assist with the remaining sick. The plague had also contributed to Athens' overall loss of power and ability to expand. And this is going on with America, because one thing about even Rome, which America is that deadly room of being healed, and America is in America's Greece too, spirit in the spirit. Hell, here in Georgia, you have Athens, Georgia. I'm pretty sure you got Athens all throughout, the United States, different Athens regions named after Athens, Greece, which is after the goddess Athena. It says overall loss of ability, of power, and ability to expand. Many of the remaining Athenians were found to be medics who had forged their documentation or had bribed officials to hide their original status. A number of these people were reduced to slaves once they were caught. This resulted in stricter laws dictating who became an Athenian citizen, and that's what's been speaking about. Trump just suspended the immigration, the Immigration Act. Basically the clause that goes into locking immigrants up and things of that nature. They're basically not enforcing harsh judgment on immigrants right now, but they were saying they don't want them to take the jobs at the same time too. So that same energy of that American citizen and that strict dictatorship, which he said in one of his press conferences that he has full power. So that same energy is coming back, man. Well, we're living in that same time now. And only a few people can actually see it through the spirit. Not everybody has eyes to see and ears to hear. But it says, but also a decline in treatment and rights for medics in Athens. The plague dealt massive damage to Athens 2 years in the Peloponnesian War, from which it never recovered. Their political strength had weakened, and morale among their armies, as well as the citizens, had fallen significantly. Athens would then go on to be defeated by Sparta and fall from being a major superpower in ancient Greece. And that was the fall of Athens, And, Egypt had their fall. Egypt had their time. They had their greatness, and then they fell. Babylon had their time. They had their greatness, and then they fell. Rome had its power, its time, and its greatness. Then it fell, and America is going to fall likewise. So this is 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou, and we see that now, these protests and riots all over the world, uproars of the people, because people are pissed off at the governments, Like I said, they're burning shit down. They're not being compliant. They're not listening. They're breaking their curfew, and they don't give a hell. They're no longer trusting in their officials, because it was a time where a lot of people embraced the officials, and they would shut up and listen. They ain't listening nowadays, because it's prophecy. The Lord said there's going to be upwards of the people. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like it's all that is made in the world at the beginning and the end, and the end is manifest. So it's manifest that we're at the end. And we're in the time where that mark of the beast, that chip technology. Esau's going to, pass those chips out, and what they were speaking about, digital certificates. And we don't know how this thing is going to go down through the spirit. That's why we just prophesy in part and know in part. But we see it all coming. It might not be a certificate. They might just grab your hand and put that chipper in there, man. So, get this in Sirach 10. This is Sirach 10:3. It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. Yeah, and we see the destroying of the people now. People are dying off. They're sick. Hospitals are full of them. They don't know how to build their immune system. They have respiratory deficiencies, all jacked up. And Esau has deliberately sickened the people. So when he pushes these waves of destruction, and when these waves of destruction come, they don't have no cloak. They don't have any type of protection. That's why the word immune goes into defense. Esau has basically destroyed their body's natural defense. So when these players come, they don't know how to, their body doesn't know how to fend it off. That's one of many unwise, wicked practices and tactics that this devils use to come against you, because he is the sword. All right, he's Cain, that piercing weapon, piercing the nations and destroying them. So you have to fight him through the spirit. And you got to, ultimately the Most High is going to take this man out. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Right, so this man is unprofitable right now. He's an unprofitable man, destroying and, straight desecrating the prophets of the Lord, which is really us through the spirit, starting off with apostles on down, So we have to prophesy and do what the Lord says, so he could set over it one that is profitable. Because at the end of the day, he is going to destroy his kingdom. The scriptures speak about how the wicked is going to be, the pit that he has dug, he shall fall therein. You being caught up by your own net, they shall make their tongue fall upon themselves. So we got to just wait for them prophecies to unravel, So I want to end by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Shema Shabbat, Shema Kakodash, Devon to the Apostle and others, a great millstone, and Shalom Akim.